the Texas Department of Corrections was sued, and they went on trial, and I believe the trial may be still ongoing, or they haven't made a determination, but it's a lawsuit about air conditioning in the facilities, man. Have you ever been incarcerated during a heat wave?
Yeah, but you go to the yard, it hit different than being inside the building. And then, like, you know, in the cell, if you you know, you got some funds, you could order a fan out the package book. But triple degree weather, you go to the yard, they got the little igloos, you get some water while you out there. It's, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, but I could imagine out there is way more humid, and you know.
Well, I think Texas has more triple digit days than we do here in Southern California.
Of course.
But we do get them. We get quite a few of them triple digit days.
But when I was in prison, I was the city right before you leave California. I was in the city of Blythe. So you just about to enter Arizona.
Oh, okay, I know where that's at. Yeah.
Right. So I was in California, but the last city before you leave California, I was in Blythe.
Oh, that's kind of the desert heat there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not sure if Texas has a lot of desert landscape, but they definitely got a lot of heat. And my guess is that their triple digit days probably outnumber ours. But there's been a lot of conversation about California prisons being a little super hot during the summer. I had Al Capone, Lil Sodi's uncle,
Rest in peace,
complaining about, I'm not sure if it was San Quentin or a different prison, but he was saying it gets unbearably hot in some of these prisons, especially San Quentin is the oldest prison we got. So you know there's no AC, there's no modern amenities in San Quentin. How cold does it get during the wintertime in San Quentin prison?
It get cold because you're coming off that bay. And man, they come out every winter, they pass out. We already got two, but they pass out extra wool blankets because we done broke out all the windows because it's hot in the summer. Ain't no air conditioning, ain't no fan. I keep wetting my sheet in cold water and get under it. And it keep you cool because you couldn't get no fan. And I'm on the 5th tier. I can still remember the cell, 5D42. I was in it for 7 years before they moved me out.
So you at the highest tier where it gets the hottest.
And it's hot.
But then when that winter come around,
ooh, I love it.
Oh, you don't mind it?
I don't mind it. I can keep warm. All that heat come up, I'll be cool.
Yeah.
Just sitting around in shorts and stuff. But man, can't do it down low.
So I guess it's easier keeping warm than it is trying to keep cool.
It is.
Yeah.
Yup, that's it.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to know what's crazy? All right. Although I've been to maybe 3 different spots as far as prison go, the hottest time I've been in jail, I was in Central Juvenile Hall right here in East LA. And when you went to the box back then, it's different from now. Like, it's what they call a box now, you just go to a unit and you just stuck in the room, can't come out. That box right there, you go like this little door, it's a tall wall, then you boom, then you can't see over that wall, then you boom, go in the unit. And them rooms was on fire. And then they'd come down the hallway and they'd give you some water, like poured it out the picture. But like in 03, 04 in Juvenile Hall Central, oh my God. But that shit was hot enough to make you behave.
So East Lake is a more modern facility than some of our prisons, so they didn't even have no AC in East Lake.
Whoa, not in that box. But see, like I was in Juvenile Hall when they made the newer units. Like I was I was one of the first kids to go in Unit PQ in Central Juvenile Hall. So like when it first opened up, like, but they got newer units, they got the older units, but yeah, I mean, they got these private owned prisons too though. They got microwaves and shit, I heard.
Yeah, the ones in Oklahoma?
No, not the ones because
Arizona.
Oklahoma, Mississippi, Arizona, they just contracted through California. I'm talking about the private owned prisons that's in California though. I forgot, it's an abbreviation for them though.
Do they have AC?
I ain't never been to them private owned prisons in California. That's that Michael Jordan shit. He give money to that.
Okay. All right. Well, this lawsuit is going to determine whether or not the CDCR, the Texas Department of Corrections is going to have to put ACs in all their prisons. but I found this report from 2 years ago, and the reason why this became an issue is because a couple of inmates died of heat stroke in the Texas Department of Corrections. So let me play this clip here from 2023.
Well, that extreme heat is being felt across Texas. It's at the center of a rally tonight. Community members and elected officials gathered in Austin to call for an emergency special session. They want lawmakers to address the need for air conditioning at some state prisons. Protesters say many Texas inmates are without air conditioning during the extreme heat. And according to the Texas Tribune, it's led to several inmate deaths this summer. Representative Carl Sherman Sr. says there are more than 128,000 prisoners in cells right now without AC.
This state requires that our counties have air conditioning in our jails. This state requires that our animal shelters must be air conditioned.
Organizers held the rally on Nelson Mandela Day, honoring the late president of South Africa's dedication to human rights. Now, this extreme.
Okay, so that was from 2 years ago, and it got all the way to a trial here in 2026. And it says here in the Texas Tribune newspaper, current and former heads of Texas prison system defend asking for lesser amounts to air-conditioned facilities during a federal trial on extreme heat in the Texas facilities. Okay, so it says here that to cool the state's entire prison system, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice has said it would cost more than $1 billion. But so far, the Texas Department of Corrections has not asked the legislature for a full funding, even as more than 80,000 inmates in its facilities endure scorching summer months without AC. Former and current Texas Department of Criminal Justice leaders testified during the second day of a federal trial over insufficient air conditioning in Texas prisons that the department has asked for smaller amounts in order to build and maintain credibility with lawmakers. These requests depend on what officials think the TDCJ could achieve regarding the design and installation of air conditioning within the next 2 years, while also considering competing priorities such as healthcare, food. They added. So what they're going to ration the inmates less food so they can pay for the air conditioning?
I got a solution.
What's that?
It's not a complete solution, but it's something. I don't know how they prison system work, because in California we got level 1, 2, 3, 4, and when you're on a level 4 prison, you're not going home. You got most of them, 80% of the people on level 4 yards are lifers. If they got the same system in Texas, I would suggest all the level 4 yards, they need air conditioning, bro, because they there to stay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, here in California.
In California. So if it is like that in Texas with the same point system and things like that, cater to the level 4 and the lifers out there, because they not going home. You know what I'm saying?
But what about this issue here in California where one day this yard's a level 4 GP and then the next day it's a level 3 PC yard? And
no, I'm about to say, I mean, what you asking me, do PCs need air conditioning too? Is that what you asking?
No, I'm just saying that the yard...
They could die from a heat stroke.
The yard statuses change every year or two.
But you're still level 4. You still a certain security level. You still 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
I suggest you take care of the level 4 inmates first.
Well, here in Texas, they're saying that the number one issue is the cost. Bobby Lumpkin, who took over the position, echoed his predecessor's sentiments. We have to be good fiscal stewards. We also confirmed that the cost estimate to fully air-conditioned Texas prisons has climbed to $1.5 billion. Hey, man, you know they're padding this dollar amount for the contractors.
Yeah, but on top of that, you know, they the lone state, and then they generate their own energy. They're the only state that do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so
that might have something to do with it also.
Okay, this ongoing trial over the issue of extreme heat comes after a March 2025 ruling from a U.S. district judge that said housing Texas prison inmates in sweltering facilities that lack air conditioning is plainly unconstitutional. I'm gonna have to agree with that, Judge.
I agree also.
That's cruel and unusual punishment.
Okay,
What you
so y'all got to get to releasing some people, bro. Y'all got to change some laws and make it easier to get back to the streets.
Okay, so the judge is going to push the plaintiffs who are asking for the entire prison to be air conditioned by the end of 2029, along with measurable milestones during the period toward a trial. The TDJC still refuses to treat this as an emergency, attorney said in the opening statement for the plaintiffs, which includes several organizations advocating for those in prisons. So this is a money situation. Really, at the end of the day, it's just about money. Who's going to pay for it?
We shall see.
All right, I got a current clip of what's going on. I'm going to just play a couple minutes of this clip.
Marks the third day of a federal trial over extreme heat in Texas prisons. It comes more than a year after a U.S. District Court judge ruled that keeping Texas inmates in facilities without air conditioning is, quote, plainly unconstitutional. Now, current and former state officials have testified about what it would cost to cool the entire prison system in Texas. So here now to talk more about what's happened in this trial so far is Alex Wynn with the Texas Tribune. Alex, welcome to our show and thanks for being with us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I understand you were in the courtroom for the past 2 days, so we appreciate you taking the time. But before we dive in more into what was said in the courtroom, I want to play catch up just a little bit. So remind us about how this case landed in federal court and who brought that.
Yeah, so this lawsuit first started in 2023 with a famous inmate. You might know him from Bernie the movie. And then in 2024, a number of nonprofit organizations advocating for those in prisons joined the lawsuit. And basically, this lawsuit is alleging that, keeping people in Texas prisons without proper air conditioning, especially during the scorching summer month that we have in Texas, is cruel and unusual punishment. So it's a violation of the Constitution, and they're pushing for the entire system to be air conditioned. And then there was the preliminary injunction hearings that happened that got us to the ruling from District Judge Robert Pittman last March. And as you mentioned with the ruling, he called it plainly unconstitutional, but he declined at the time to force the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to temporarily install AC and push the plaintiffs toward a trial. And so now we are at that trial finally.
Okay, that was Alex Wynn, a reporter that basically just broke it down. An inmate complained, got some nonprofits behind him.
That was a famous inmate.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the inmate story, but once the nonprofits got behind the inmate's cause, 2 years later, it's landing in federal court. And they're going to have to figure out how to pay for this because it's clearly unconstitutional, because no matter how much you hate prisoners, inmates, no matter what they're in there for, this country has a law in the Constitution that says that we do not use cruel and unusual punishment. And if you believe that being in a cell when it's 100 degrees outside, 105, 110 is cruel and unusual, then they got to do something about it. I believe it's cruel and unusual.
Agreed.
A judge already said it's cruel and unusual. I know what that's like to be in unbearable temperatures, and all the times I've been in Puerto Rico, because most of the houses there do not have AC. So you're sleeping in a hot box. Not only is it hot, you got bugs and flies all over the place because it's so humid. It's like living in a jungle. You're in a house, but it's like in the middle of a jungle environment. And hey, living in Puerto Rico is cruel and unusual if you don't have AC. So it's definitely cruel and unusual if you got to you're serving a prison sentence in a cell, Munchie.
If you're in the state of Texas, go ahead, get your certification in HVAC. You about to have some contracts, some work to do in a minute.
And they should also put bids out for different companies where they can say, hey, I can do it for less, and do it quality, and maybe different companies should do different prisons just to show that $1.5 billion, that's probably a padded estimate that the contractors just want to they know the government's gonna pay. So whenever you got the government paying, most of the time people overbill it.
All right.
They pad those invoices.
All right.
And there's no way. I don't know how many prisons there are in Texas. It's not more than California. Let's say there's 20 prisons in Texas. A billion, 1.5 billion.
Texas big.
Yeah, Texas is big, but they don't have more prisons than California.
All right.